Minister Malusi Gigaba's maiden budget speech continues to draw mixed reaction from all quarters. Today, the DA leader Mmusi Maimane is expected to launch a national petition in Soshanguve in Pretoria to oppose the VAT increase. Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba announced during the budget speech that VAT will increase to 15%. DA argues that the VAT increase in fuel levy will hurt the poor, as food and transport costs will also go up. Now, to get more reaction on that story, very pleased to be joined in studio by Mr. Thulani Tshefuta, the overall convener of the civil society at Nedlac. Thulani, what a pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
Thulani, I suppose, let me get your reaction to the maiden speech by the finance minister.
Let's make a few critical points about this budget. That one, we had an opportunity of meeting with the minister, the deputy minister, and the DG of National Treasury yesterday at Nedlac. And we made a few points clear, one of which is that the architecture of the budget as it is clearly anti-poor. Secondly, there are things that could have been done differently, which we have raised with the minister. And one of those is that we just think that the opening of the door of VAT after so long is an assault on the poor and the working class. We actually think that the budget benefits more those who are already rich in society. And so that is how we characterize the budget.
So what do you feel should be done? I mean, I hear that you were engaging with the department yesterday. What were some of the suggestions that you gave them, and what responses did you get, Thulani?
One thing, though, that we're getting is that Treasury does not pretend to be positioning the budget in favor of the poor. They are acknowledging that, one, it is positioned to respond to the issues that have been raised over time by rating agencies, by investors, because if you remember, there has been issues that have been raised about political stability in South Africa, and with the change of leadership in the presidency, we see that that has been taken care of. Secondly, we have seen rating agencies and investors raising issues about governance and corruption taking place in state-owned companies, and there have been actions taken there. And so budget was but one of those that rating agencies were looking at, that how will the budget be utilized to position South Africa in good state to respond to the plight that has been raised by those, such that South Africa avoids another downgrade. But what we have raised as civil society is that there could have been other considerations. One of those considerations is that we should have never opened the window on VAT. Secondly, we should have actually taxed the rich more. Those who earn 1.5 million and above are only taxed at 45%. But it applies to a person who earns 1.5 million and a person who earns 50 million.
That's why the soccer players were in upheaval.
And so we should have introduced somewhere in the middle for those who earn between 5 and 10 million rands, another level, even if it is at 50. For those who are at 10 to 50 million rands,
so
another
personalized
level.
tax is what you're saying here, Thulani.
And we refuse to accept that the rich have been taxed sufficiently. Personal income tax for the rich has only been increased twice over the last 20 years, only twice. And so those are the doors that should have been considered.
But Thulani, I mean, look, as a representative of a youth organization, do you feel that this speech actually catered to the youth? I mean, we've seen the youth out there in the streets protesting for free higher education, and that has become a reality. And a lot of people are saying, but where did you think the money was going to come from? Government had to do something in terms of raising the tax.
Well, VAT is not the only tax. There should have been other windows that have been opened, as I just articulated. But in as far as the plight of young people being addressed, we are happy that there has been bold leadership to declare free education in South Africa. There are three factors that are considered by the Human Development Index. One is the GDP and economic growth as economic factors. Two, it's education and its outcomes as to how long do people stay in education. Three, it is the life expectancy in South Africa. Even when South Africa was performing good, on economic growth when we're reaching 5%, these two human development factors, education and health, were pulling us down. And so South Africa is a youthful society. South Africa has entered a demographic window of youth bulge. If we don't invest in the life of these young people through education and skills now, they will be a burden to the state later on. And so it's bold leadership that we welcome, that we invest in free, quality, higher education.
Absolutely.
It will go to produce skilled cadre of young people that will come back to contribute to the growth of the economy.
Absolutely. Thulani, before I let you go, do you feel that this was proper allocation when we look at the bulk of the money going to obviously free higher education and of course the health as well as the social grants that will be on the increase?
Those are commendable steps, but what we should dismiss is that the increment in the social grants will not make up for the increase in VAT. VAT is a regressive tax. It affects a person who has money and the person who is poor the same way. 14% of a person who earns 500 rands is felt dire than a person who pays 14% who earns 1 million rands. And so that is what we must dismiss. But we think that there is a window of engagement that has been opened to make sure that most of these have been corrected.
Will you be joining the opposition parties that are against, of course, the VAT increase?
We will not stand for political grandstanding in addressing the plight of the people. What we will stand for are the issues that affect the poor and the civil society that we represent, whoever raises them. Nicely
put. Thank you so much, Thulani. That is Thulani Tshefuta, the overall convener of the civil society at Nedlac, talking to us about the recent budget speech by Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba. After the break, more news. Stay with us.